We talked with Kristen about that, and she started off just by telling us about how she saw this movie and what it was about to her.
I think the movie says a number of things, and what was really sort of obvious to me in the beginning was really attractive was the dynamic between these two women and how sort of indulgently it explores it. It's literally, much of the movie, like an hour and a half of it, is just the two of us sitting and talking and rehearsing this play. And it sort of reflects on the surface nature of the business in this ironic, kind of funny way that is fun for me to speak about sort of really candidly with the sort of like mouthpiece as a character was interesting. And I usually just say, it's about this business and sort of a personal look at an actress and how much her job takes from her and sort of how she gets herself back and how she retains herself and, aging in this business, just being a woman and the different perspective that a younger person who's not in the business might offer somebody who's completely entrenched in that sort of really esoteric world.
But there's also another character who's younger, played by Chloe Grace Moretz, who is in the business, and it's almost like an All About Eve sort of thing. But Chloe Grace Moretz's character, interestingly, is reminiscent of how the tabloids used to actually follow you around, and her character is being followed around by the tabloids everywhere and has to dodge them and so on. Did that give you any horrible flashbacks to your Twilight days?
I thought it was funny and weird and interesting to sort of open it up to the world. And there was a possibility that I might play the Joanne part instead of the assistant part. And initially it was like, it's a sort of, it would have been in that case a bit of like me making a satire of myself and my own situation. And so it was good that she could do it and she could really push it and make it crazy and like go there. But yeah, there were definitely times where I was like, well, I'm glad it's you and not me.
Now, something you were just mentioning earlier was how women are treated in Hollywood and the roles of women and aging and so on. And do you feel that we're in a good time right now for women in Hollywood? Do you feel that there are more challenges and there are more hoops to jump through as a woman at this time?
I mean, I can only speak to my own experience, really, in terms of speaking to it personally. But I think I'm insanely lucky at this point. I have so much in front of me, and I'm, incredibly challenged. And I think that it is more challenging for a woman, undeniably, to, find things that are bold and, things that are new, things that feel unique. And, it's definitely, not to speak to get like any sympathy, but it is more of a struggle. But that's, it's always been harder for women in every aspect, every avenue of life, really. And so this is, I think there's good work to be had. There are good stories to be told. I think it's just, it takes a woman who wants to find it to really go out and find it. But it's tougher, undeniably.
And you've actually had some really complex, unusual roles in the past year or so. Still, Alice opposite Julianne Moore was about early onset Alzheimer's. Camp X-Ray was about Guantanamo Bay. Did you select these serious roles as a way to get away from the image some might have of you from Twilight? Or did Twilight even factor into your thinking?
I absolutely never made, tactful choices in order to separate myself from Twilight. That just, it was a really long period of time, like a huge part of my life. And everything that I've been attracted to since has been quite varied. And I've just been, I don't know, those projects in this world, they stick out. The ones that seem different, that really say something. And I feel like every time I read something like that, I jump on it as if it's this like precious thing that might go away. So I've found a few things in the last 2-3 years recently that have been really incredible. And honestly, it's something that in this position people go, oh, you're trying to greenlight projects, and how are you maneuvering your career, and how would you like to shape it, and what would you like to do? And I've just gotten really lucky. I've been called by really immensely talented and interesting people to help them make their movies. And
most of this transition's been pretty great as far as going from child actor to teen actor to adult actor, I'd say. I mean, we always are seeing car wrecks of cases where a child actor just completely becomes unraveled trying to make it into the teen or adult world. And you started off really young. A lot of people knew you for the first time when you did Panic Room with Jodie Foster, who also was a child actor who became a very, very successful actor as an adult. Do you ever go to her or go to other co-stars of yours and ask for advice on how to make those transitions?
I've absolutely been shaped by the people I've grown up with, and luckily, and crazily enough, it has been people like her. And I've looked to people like Julianne and Juliette recently, and it's never direct advice giving. These women are just they're role models, and I think that the one thing that they all have in common is that they really love what they do, and it's worth protecting, and it's all about finding that balance.
Kristen Stewart, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.